Hi guys, and welcome to Venice. Yes, the city of canals, of gondolas, of romance, of love, and the city that's gonna ruin your legs if you're not wearing the right shoes. Today we're not gonna just get lost in Venice in this cul-de-sac streets and trying to swim our way out of it, because there are just so many canals in there. But the reason for being in Venice right now is, of course, the film festival. And I'm here as a journalist, so I'm gonna take you behind the scenes. What does it look like when you are attending Venice Film Festival as a journalist? Before we dive into films and Venice, my name is Veronica. If this is your first time here, welcome. I am a TV presenter and I love everything about style and fashion. And my goal, especially here on YouTube, is to try to create this kind of like capsule wardrobe, to find the style that whatever you buy, whatever you find, is gonna last you for decades. Occasionally, of course, we're gonna sprinkle a little bit of current trends in there, but my main goal is to always be elegant and stylish, and of course, to find an outfit that will suit you. And in today's video, I'm gonna show you different outfits, what I wear around Venice Film Festival, especially because as a journalist you walk a lot, so it's not waltzing down the red carpet with a team of stylists and makeup people and hair people around you, but it's actually quite a hectic time, and you're gonna see all that if you stick around. Venice was actually founded like 1,500 years ago, so it's definitely a very old city. It has about 150 canals and more than 400 bridges, and most of them are with stairs. They do have some ramps on occasional main bridges, but if you're gonna venture around into the small alleys, you're gonna definitely need good shoes and like be at least certain level of fit. Otherwise, stay away from Venice, unless you want to star in your own tragic dark comedy show there. The best part about Venice for me is there is no cars, no bicycles, it's just boats and your legs. This is why it's crucial that you wear proper footwear when you are visiting Venice. It doesn't matter if you're there as a tourist or if you're there as a film journalist during the Venice Film Festival. And the tricky part is that Venice most of the time is very hot. So, you know, trainers, it's not always an option because it's gonna be like 30+ degrees and it's gonna be quite humid. So that's not as easy as it sounds, finding the perfect pair of shoes to run around Venice, especially during summertime. You can now imagine the rush hour, especially if you're heading to a movie premiere, and of course any other screening you have to be on time. So you can imagine how this looks like. You have your bags, you have of course your accreditation, and then you're standing in line, you're rushing to Vaporetto, and unless you're lucky enough to have a room on an actual Lido where the festival is happening, this is going to be your daily commute. Venice Film Festival started in 1932. So that makes it the oldest festival in the world. And even though Cannes is kind of considered more glamorous, Venice is kind of like this very cool grandma that still knows how to make a really cool party. So it's definitely worth going to that festival if you're interested in films, and of course if you want to see the stars, which I think it's slightly easier in Venice than it is in Cannes, because in Cannes the festival is mainly aimed for journalists. So we as press have like a better ride in Cannes. Venice, on the other hand, is actually aimed to the public. So if you go there as a tourist, if you just hop on the Vaporetto and go across to Lido, which is the island right across the lagoon from San Marco Square, from Old Venice, you will actually be able to walk by red carpet and see the stars. But you have to keep it in mind that for bigger stars, a lot of people actually camp there. They will arrive sometimes days in advance and wait for these stars. So it's not like a stroll. If you want to see like George Clooney, you can arrive half an hour before the premiere. But you can just walk by. While in Cannes, the way the red carpet is positioned, unless you are there like a day before, you won't be able actually to see that much there. So for public, kind of like from the public perspective, Venice is definitely better. And Lido is such a funny situation because on one side, you have this glamorous red carpet with all these stars all dolled up in their finest jewelries and, you know, evening gowns. And then literally on the other side is this long sandy beach, meaning you have hundreds of people in swimsuits just having their summer vacation. So it's definitely a vibe being there for the festival. So this is another view. I'm going to try and turn it around so you can see there, and I have my red combo, which I love for the festival. It's just so much better. So you can see just there is all what's, you know, all the buzz of the festival is happening there. every year before the festival, there's a buzz about certain films. And I think the biggest one that we all talked about this year was, of course, Frankenstein, which is the newest version by Guillermo del Toro, which is the director that I adore. I mean, his Pinocchio won awards left and right. He was here with The Shape of Water. You know, he's like this really fantasy-like director who does monsters like nobody else. And Frankenstein is actually a pretty intimate portrayal, and it's the closest to Mary Shelley's book as we've seen so far. And Guillermo del Toro was so sweet. He was so nervous because this was the project of his lifetime. He has been dreaming about this film for decades, and he kept putting it off making it because, like he said himself, like once I do it, once it's out there, it is what it is. You cannot dream about it anymore, and it doesn't matter if it's a 10 or if it's a 5. It's done. You let it go. And you know, this was his dream for a really, really long time. I think he started thinking about making this film like 30 years ago. So it's definitely a lifetime project for him. It's gonna stream on Netflix towards the end of November, I think. It's gonna have like a limited theater run because, of course, the Oscars. But mostly it's going to be on Netflix. So you're going to be able to see it if you have subscription. And it's a very intimate film, which means it actually works on a smaller screen. I wouldn't recommend watching this on the phone. But okay, tablet if you kind of have to, all right. But it still needs slightly bigger screen. But it is a very, even with epic shots like of the Arctics and things, it's still a very gentle film in a way. So I really enjoyed it. And I'm glad that Del Toro tackled this topic because I think he does monsters like, you know, he's brilliant with monsters who have a heart. Let me put it this way. Hello, my darling fashionistas. So, we actually have a film, a documentary about Marc Jacobs here at this year's Venice Film Festival, and is made by none other than Sofia Coppola. So I'm really excited about this. Apparently, they're like really good friends for a long time, and when they approached her about this film, she was kind of like scared first because, you know, it's not really easy to make a film about your friend, but then she accepted. So we're gonna see it tonight. It's not in competition, so it's not gonna get like any awards or stuff, but I'm really interesting to see because apparently she's kind of following his kind of like life so far, I think, and also like some new collections. So it will be really interesting to see what he will say about who inspired him. So I will keep you posted tomorrow after I see the film. But what you see behind me is one of the main locations here on Lido where we spend most of our times because there's 2 cinemas behind and one on this direction here behind me. So you can actually see really well this badge reserved area. It's another hot day, yay! I'm going across to Venice. I want to have another charm from Murano glass from Pandora, so we will do that later today, and then it's Sofia Coppola's film. So yeah, should be a good day. So my hop to Venice was successful. Let me show you this charm because it's pretty cool. So this is the newest edition, this green little snake down here, and this is actually made from Murano glass, which is of course famous for this region, and there's a little bejeweled snake on it because of course it's the year of the snake, and I think it goes really nicely with the rest of my charms. I'm gonna kind of scroll them around so you can see them better. Yes, my golden charms are actually stacking up. I'm going to do one of the videos in the future talking more about different Pandora charms that I managed to get, because let me tell you something, golden charms are not as easy to find because most of them are very similar. So it takes a while to kind of combine all the golden charms to have the bracelet looking nice. And my plan is not to fill it all. I think I'm going to add maybe 1 or 2 charms on this one, and then I'm going to get another one because I don't want this to be like completely full of charms. For gold, I don't think this really works, to be honest. And this one is quite cute. This is like a, heart with an arrow. And I actually bought this myself for my birthday, which was in August. So it was like a gift from me to me. Let's stay in the fashion sector. So Marc by Sofia was definitely a very unique documentary because it felt kind of like all over the place, but in an organized way. I know this is kind of like a paradox, but this is exactly how I felt watching this film. So we learned a little bit more about Marc, but it wasn't like a lifetime biopic. It actually followed him for his latest collection, and they talked about different influences. And one of the things that he emphasized, which I find really interesting, and I think more people should remember that Louis Vuitton didn't have any clothing section before he came as creative director. So they only did like luggage and accessories and handbags and things like that. but no clothing. So clothing for Louis Vuitton actually started with Marc Jacobs. And I think we kind of forgotten that, but that's definitely one of his legacies, apart from, you know, the camera bag, which I never really liked, so I don't have it, but I know it's very popular. So this is kind of like what people mostly remember him from. And it was really interesting because in the film it was obvious that clothes that he presents in his fashion shows are kind of like plan B, because plan A is actually the show. So he thinks more about the kind of like aesthetics of the whole show, like how everything is going to look, from the lighting, from footwear, because of course he doesn't have his own shoes, he doesn't have a shoe line or footwear line. And this kind of was surprising to me, because mostly you see designers thinking about clothes and then how everything will kind of align together is like a second thought. And here was the other way around. And also interesting fact, you know who does all his shoes since he started his own line? Giuseppe Zanotti. So if you see any cool shoes on Marc Jacobs runway, they are made specifically for that show. So we can't buy it unless we are there and we beg the models to sell the shoes to us. But they are made by Giuseppe Zanotti, just so you know. This is the reality of running out of time, because I got out of Wizard of Kremlin, which is pretty cool, by Oliver Assayas. And now I'm running to another venue, and I have about 10 minutes to get in there. So yes, that's like, we never have enough time. I'm gonna go to the sunny part now, so the light's gonna change. I'm gonna wait for the camera to pick it up so you will see it better. And it's actually the first like really hot day since we arrived, because it was a lot of rain until now. So I am actually, as you can see, for the first time in like summer attire. Alright, so now we're gonna go and run into the line, and I will see you after. Hopefully this will be good, because afterwards it's gonna be like 4:30 p.m. and it will be bloody time to get some lunch. I'm hungry. Ciao. So, as I said in the beginning, journalists, we are not there for the red carpet. I mean, occasionally I would go to some premiere, but this would be very rare because it takes too much time. You have to go back, you have to, you know, get yourself nice and ready and all ready for the red carpet. I just don't have time. I'm seeing like 4 to 5, sometimes 6 films a day. Then you have press conferences, then you have to run to interviews. Of course, then you have to edit what you filmed or record. I report for radio and TV, so depending on time, I would usually just try to see as many films as I can. That to me is the main reason why I actually do go to film festivals. Everything else that's happening next to films is just like a bonus. So you can imagine how much walking is there involved. And also there's like this tricky combination where you have to be comfortable, you have to be in clothes that gonna, you know, be able to sustain really different temperatures, because inside cinemas, of course, they have air conditioning, so it's pretty chilly, outside is hot. And then this year, we had the horror of horrors of really heavy rain sometimes. And specifically for one film, we waited in the really heavy rain for like 40 minutes. That, well, I'm gonna give the next minute to Veronica, who is actually on Lido right now. It was such a crazy night last night, because it was pouring rain for like 40 minutes. And for most of this, we were actually waiting in line to see Luca Guadagnino film After the Hunt with Julia Roberts in the lead role. The rain was so heavy, even with umbrellas, we were like completely soaked. And then you were sitting inside the cinema in like completely wet clothes for like 2.5 hours. So hopefully I'm not gonna catch a cold, because this is a perfect storm. But it was really, I mean, the weather is unpredictable here every year, so this is not something new, but I don't remember such a heavy rain for such a long time. Usually it's like 10 minutes and it's gone. But today it's slightly chillier, and I think it's gonna rain later as well. It's gonna changes a lot. So I have like this little cover on, so it's not too cold. And then I have Astromagic top by Jean-Paul Gaultier, which I think is quite cool, because it's kind of asymmetric here as well. Then I have white trousers and trainers, because I had Cézanne flats yesterday and they got so soaked. I hope I didn't ruin them, because, you know, they are leather, but I really did not expect such a heavy rain. They filmed in UK University, I think they filmed in Cambridge, but the story is actually happening at Yale, and it really depicts very well this kind of like university level talks and all these intellectuals discussing different philosophy aspects of life, because it's happening in the philosophy department. And Julia Roberts is the main character. Then you have Andrew Garfield, who is this really old friend of hers who is accused of doing something really inappropriate towards one of their mutual students. So even though I kind of liked the film, there were a few things for me missing in it that I couldn't really piece together the whole story. Some of the parts really didn't make sense. So even though I always enjoy watching Julia and Andrew, of course, too, because I think he's an amazing actor, but this film was kind of like 3 out of 5 for me, just because the story didn't really align properly. I wouldn't say it was worth waiting in rain for 40 minutes for it, but that's film festivals for you. It's still raining, so I have to wait a bit, but I think the light will be better now, so at least you'll be able to see better where I am. So this is like a villa on Lido where we have interviews. I'm gonna quickly show you my outfit because I don't want to get wet because it's raining. So I have Suzanne skirts. This is actually a part of the duo, but I have a different top because it's not that warm, so I want like short sleeves and things. But I'm actually doing interviews for the film Mother, which is about Mother Teresa, and it's a very cool film, so look when it's coming out, definitely go see it. And this place, even though it's windy and rainy, is really beautiful. Now this was screened in Horizonte section, which is like parallel section to the competition, and Macedonian director Teona Strugar Mitevska was the director, and Numira Pas was the lead actor, and they are depicting certain scenes, certain period of life of Mother Teresa. Now Teona to me is one of those really great directors who will never have any studio fakery in her films, because she always films on location. Like she told me this in the interview about how important it is to her to actually be in the place that she's talking about in the film.
To tell you the truth, I'm not sure that I could do it otherwise. I'm very intuitive person, and I function based on feeling things and touching things and understanding the nature or the energy of the place. So I would not maybe know how to shoot something if I have not felt or been it. And location is it is such an important part of that. So I could not make a film about India without being India myself and understanding what India is.
As far as I'm aware, the film sold to many different territories, so I'm sure you'll be able to see it hopefully soon. And Numira Paz was really good in this film. Let me just tell you a little secret about this, that this film is actually telling us a story when Mother Teresa is still in the convent, and she waits for the permission by the Pope to leave that and kind of starts her own Catholic, let's say, society who wants to help, that will help outside of the convent. So it's just one specific period of her life, but it's very well done, and I'm really glad I had a chance to see the film and also talk to Teona, who I adore anyway. She's really fun. She's a really fun director, and also to prove you how fun she is, look at this clip.
Labina, you know, she's the producer. There is Sylvia. And here is a journalist. Ah yes, and there is Nomi I'm shooting Nomi. Hello Nomi. And then there is you.
So this was after the interview. She was like, can I film with your little camera? And I was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. I really, really love her. So as you can see, Venice is always crazy, and you have this mixture of heat and humidity and heavy rain this year, and you have celebrities on red carpets, and then you have people in swimsuits, and you have fans screaming, like for example here. You know, Julia Roberts caused quite a splash because, believe it or not, this was actually her first time at Venice Film Festival. In her long career, she never had a film here. So that was she's been in Cannes before because I remember seeing her there, but this was her first time in Venice. So of course, you know, people went crazy. It didn't matter what her film was. The point was that Julia Roberts was in Venice. And you can tell here, this line that you can see here, these are actually accredited people. So this side of Lido, you cannot walk if you don't have a badge. And the people you see across the canal are normal fans, let's say. There are people who don't have a badge, and they were yelling across the canal like, Julia, Julia. It was a really surreal moment. This is the winged lion. This one is not so much golden anymore, but this is what you can win if you have a film in Venice. So nice and comfortable as usual. We are running to the first film of the morning. It's gonna start in about 20 minutes, and oh, I have light in the background, and I need coffee. It's the last day. This is the most beautiful part of every day here. It's morning. Well, the sound is not beautiful, but you know what I mean, because it's warm, but it's not hot. So it's really nice to walk around, but in a few hours it's gonna be either crazy rainy or crazy hot. So guys, thank you for surviving another Venice Film Festival with me. We are looking forward to Cannes, which is in May, and then of course next year, towards the end of the summer, we're going to be hitting Venice as well. So guys, have a lovely day, and I will see you in the next video.